Whether you have a diagnosis or not, I don't care. I'll teach you how to find what's causing your health struggles using the blood work you already have right here on this podcast, but also in my new book, Why Are My Labs Normal? Go grab it on Amazon and let me know you love it and appreciate the knowledge by leaving a review for both the book and this podcast. In fact, this July, we are having a contest. This contest is for practitioners, and every practitioner who participates will receive my new step-by-step guide, How to Attract the Right Clients and Build Your Business with Social Media and Live Workshops, not paid ads. There will be 3 grand prize winners who will receive free access into my next Master Bloodwork live and virtual event, which is a value of $1,200 each. To get inside this contest and giveaway, you will need to subscribe and review the podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. You can get all the details and join this contest at the link in the bio. Winners will be chosen at random for the grand prize and announced on the podcast on August 9th. So be sure to subscribe. Also, this season 5, is going to be new, directed more for practitioners on Thursday episodes. So Tuesday episodes will be, as we all know and love. Thursday episodes are for practitioners and practitioners only, for the most part. This podcast is also sponsored by my favorite supplement companies, Systemic Formulas and My Biome. Come join me inside their private Facebook group for practitioners called Systemic Formulas Clinical Nutrition. For everybody to learn more, join Systemic Formulas on Instagram. All right, let's get started. Welcome to the Beyond the Diagnosis podcast with me, Dr. Kylie. Today is a Thursday episode, meaning it's for you practitioners, but really anybody can listen in on this one because I want to talk to you and encourage you and empower you to chase your dreams. Now, the idea of this episode came while I was on an airplane, a flight from Salt Lake City to Orlando, Florida, this last June with my husband. He and I were taking a quick getaway trip and also to lock in the conference, right? Yes, it's been locked in. February 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Registration opens in September. So if you haven't heard yet, well, it's out. I'm going to bring you the best mindset, business, and marketing experts because that's what we don't get. We get all the patient care and all the functional medicine and physiology and biochemistry and anatomy and all that stuff, but we don't get help unless we hire it outside on business, mindset, and marketing. So come to the conference, February 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Registration begins in September, and I'll get you that link when we have it. Okay. Chase your dreams. Everybody had told me that I should watch this movie called King Richard. The reason why is because besides volleyball, I love tennis. In fact, I can't play tennis. You put a tennis racket in my hand and I will botch it. Why? Because I played volleyball for far too long. And in volleyball, the ball goes to your hands. In tennis, the ball goes to the racket in your hands. My hand-eye coordination was not working while I was while my brothers were trying to teach me how to do something so simple, like hit a forehand or something like that. So I haven't played volleyball in quite a long time, actually, to be honest. I haven't touched a volleyball in years. One of those things that you just transition into your next life. And if people tell me, you should play volleyball again, you should coach it, I'll coach it at some point. My little girl, when she gets older, and even my little boy. Love coaching it and have coached many teams. In fact, I coached a high school team in Hurricane, and we won state, actually. My last year I was there. So I love coaching it. I love impacting lives like that. But I was watching this movie, King Richard. And if you don't know, it's about Serena and Venus Williams and their dad, Richard. I know a lot about tennis. I went to New York in 2019 before COVID crashed the world. And I went to New York for one thing and one thing only. I was going to watch tennis for 3 days straight. And so that's what I did. It was awesome. 12 hours of tennis without my kids. I just literally got to sit and watch any match I wanted in the entire US Open grounds for 3 days. My brother, the one just below me, loves tennis too. He and his wife came with me and my husband at the time. And so Andrew didn't quite understand tennis. He does a lot more now, but he was gracious enough to sit there and watch tennis with me for 3 days from noon to midnight. All 3 days was awesome. So I know a lot about Serena and Venus and tennis history and how to play tennis. But this was an eye-opener for me. The story is a lot about Venus. And Venus is the older sister. She hasn't quite had the accolades that Serena has. But nevertheless, she has been number one in the world on more than one occasion for more than 1 year. She's won a few Grand Slams, and in the tennis world, the Grand Slam is the top dog. There are 4 Grand Slam events in the year. It begins with the Australia Open in January, and that's, of course, in Australia. And then it comes to the French Open, and that one is played on clay in, of course, France. We just finished it, and I think it begins like over Memorial Day weekend, and then it's a 2-week period. And then upcoming here is Wimbledon. Wimbledon is in England, London, I think. And that is on grass. And then the final tournament of the final Grand Slam of the year is in New York in the US Open in September, very beginning of September. So those are like the 4 big tournaments as far as tennis is concerned. Venus has won a handful of them. I can't tell you off the top of my head. I can tell you that Serena has won more than any other female in the history of Grand Slams of tennis, period. I think she's leading everybody. I think she's on her quest for 23, and Rafa just won. I know he just won 21. Did he? And he won 22 because he just won the French. So he's at 22 right now. He's leading in the men's side of things. Novak and Roger are right behind him. But the story is all about these individuals. And I did not know that Serena and Venus are the youngest 2 girls out of the 5 girls that their parents had. And they grew up in, what do they call it? Somewhere in California. It just left me. Like the slums of California. Okay. They didn't have many opportunities, but their dad was tenacious. Their dad, his mindset is why Venus and Serena are where they are today. He had the balls to, 1, help Venus and Serena practice. He was their coach. He and their mom was their coach for so many years growing up, and they would just go to the local court where oftentimes their dad would get beat up by the gangs there because he would refuse to allow them to mess with his daughters. He would practice them at night in the rain, like whenever they had practice, but they couldn't play tennis unless they had straight A's. So these girls were going to get out of their situation. That was the point. And tennis was one of those ways. Now, of course, this is a movie, so I don't know what's all real or not, but I would imagine that since Serena is considered the best female athlete in the world, and Venus is right behind her, and they've won several singles titles, they've won several doubles titles together, that as their dad would always say, this is part of the plan. It's part of the plan. Now, he would break just about every unwritten rule there was. So if a coach said that they had practice, or if a coach said that they had to go play this tournament, he would say no. He wanted the girls to have an experience of teenage and childhood, not just shoving tennis down their throats at all times. So one of the reasons why I want to talk about this and the whole idea of chasing your dreams and being able to set your mind right was because Richard, their dad, was so protective of their mindset that I would say, besides their hard work ethic, their mindset is why where they are today. Richard's mindset is where they are today. Of course, this is a movie, so you're only going to get a piece of it, right? But I remember there was a point in the story, and Pete Sampras is an American tennis player who, during his day, was one of the best in the world. Richard put the girls in their vehicle, figured out where Sampras was playing at a private, I don't know, if it was his house or his coach's house or whatever, but there was a tennis court in the backyard. And he was practicing with his coach. I don't remember the name. But he took the two girls, showed up unannounced to this practice, and demanded that the coach take a look at him. Now, that is what it takes to chase your dreams. You don't let anything stand in the way. You figure out a way to make it happen. So I want to empower you to figure out a way to make it happen. If you've been a massage therapist for 20 years, if you've been a dietitian, if you've been a health coach, if you've been a chiropractor, if you've been a nurse practitioner, if you've been a DO, and yet you want something different, chase it. Go after it. Go for it. I'm here to help. Okay. Now, just like Serena and Venus and Richard had the balls to chase after these dreams that so many would say they had no right doing. In fact, there was one scene in the movie where their neighbor across the street called Child Protective Services on them because he was working his girls too hard. They show up at the door wanting to scrutinize how they're treating their girls. And I loved Mom's approach to this scenario. After Child Protective Services left, it's dark. Who knows what time it was? 10, 11, 12, something like that. She walks across the street to the neighbor who they knew had called on them. And she said, I've never been over here before. That's a shame, isn't it? Don't make me ever come over here again. I'm raising 5 girls, and they will not return to this area. So, if Serena and Venus can do it, you can do it. Now, I didn't have much respect, to be honest with you, for Serena. She's pulled some stunts in matches that I don't agree with. But to understand her history and to understand where she came from to now where she is today, she's in the same commercial as Peyton Manning and Steph Curry. She's right there with one of the biggest names in NFL and NBA. To understand where they came from, nothing can be in the way of you and your dream unless you allow it to be. I have a sign from one of my business coaches. They sent me this big old poster, and it's a poster of a tennis scoreboard with my name and Serena's name on it. Of course, they photoshopped my head on what I think is Naomi Osaka's body, but it doesn't matter. She's probably actually darker than that. It's probably someone else's body, but as my husband says, it's not yours because you're white. I love it. I don't care. I have my US Open trophy in my hand, right? But the most important thing on this are the words, get out of your own way. Think back to a scenario where you were the person that stopped whatever it was from happening. Get out of your own way and just see what can happen. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Okay, now here's this. Story of my eyelashes. I've been wanting to get some eyelash extensions for close to a year now. I've just always found excuses to not do it. One of the biggest excuses being time. So I'm down in Florida this past June with Andrew, my husband. It's just him and I. So I figured, well, the kids aren't here. I'm going to see if I can make an appointment for eyelash extensions. Didn't know it was going to be 3 hours long, but I love them. Okay. It was one of my things that I just needed to do for myself to step up into my next level of power, or leadership, I should say. More like leadership. So whatever is holding you back, whatever excuses you're making, just do it. You won't regret it. If that means, like I was meeting with a chiropractor the other day and helping her navigate, how do we take the 40-hour chiropractic work week, condense it to a 1-day chiropractic work week so she can be mom again? And how do we blend this blood work and functional medicine, in which her chiropractic patients are already handing her their labs and asking, I trust you more than my doctor. What does this say? So she's already getting it. We just had to figure out the business model on what that looks like, make sure the numbers worked, and most importantly, allow her to be home when her kids go to school and when they come home from school. So that's condensing a 10-hour workday into a 6-hour workday, 4 days a week, not 5. And we did it. So whatever your dreams look like, bust out of that box that you're in and go for them. I'm here to help. I'm so glad you joined me today on this episode of the Beyond the Diagnosis with Dr. Kylie podcast. Remember, if you're a practitioner, you need to get inside this contest and giveaway. Check the link below to get all the details, and you can get my free step-by-step guide and get placed inside the possibility of becoming a grand prize winner and receive free access into my next Master Bloodwork live and virtual event. It's coming up soon. So grab everything you need at the link below, join the contest, get the goodies, and I'm here to help you. Why? Because we're all in this together. Come join me inside the Systemic Formulas Facebook group for practitioners. It's also a private group called Systemic Formulas Clinical Nutrition. Everybody else, go join Systemic Formulas on Instagram, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for joining me.